Yep, they stole most of our laptops and tablets too. They took at least a decent chunk out of pretty much every department. The inventory losses are bad enough, but this is going to be a PR nightmare. The customers saw the whole thing, guns and all. I don't know how we're going to make people feel safe in there again.
Well, I'm very sorry about that, sir. We'll get to the bottom of it and bring the scumbags to justice. Although, it might have helped if you didn't tempt people like that.
What do you mean?
Well, don't get me wrong. You're not the one who's committed a great injustice here. Still, with your merchandise on such flagrant display in your window, what exactly did you expect? Not everyone has the best self-control, you know.
But that's absurd. You're saying we somehow bear some of the blame just for doing what any self-respecting business might do to catch the eye of potential customers? It's not like the displays say anything about the stuff being free.
Officer. Oh, thank God. Some creep just sexually assaulted me.
Oh, my God. I am so sorry that happened. Are you okay, ma'am? Is there anything I can do?
Damn perverts. I'm very sorry too. Why don't the both of you come with me to the station? We can get you out of here, and I'm sure this gentleman won't mind doing the rest of his report after we get your situation sorted out.
No, of course not.
What?
Well, don't get me wrong. The bastard should pay. But, that neckline is rather generous, with the 3 undone buttons and all. I'm just saying, you can't blame a guy for looking at least. Are you sure you weren't sending the wrong signals?
This analogy is probably not perfect, but I think it could be effective enough that it's at least worth trying out. To be clear, if you think it was meant to advocate for generally treating sex as a commodity, then you've missed the point. So what exactly is the point? Well, that's what this whole video is about. So let's talk about modesty. Many sufficiently conservative Christians and especially Muslims advocate for strict female modesty, and when challenged on it, the argument I tend to hear is that it protects women from would-be rapists and similar threats. Depending on the believer's particular beliefs, that may in fact be the genuine intention behind these rules. But even this fairly well-meaning justification is problematic for 3 reasons. 1. It's at least somewhat condescending, implying that women are inherently less able to take care of themselves than men. 2. It's unequal. While there may be a few provisions for male modesty in Abrahamic scripture, it is not given nearly the same focus as female modesty. 3. It makes women at least partially responsible for men's behavior. The first 2, especially number 1, are likely rather obvious. But it's the third one that seems to be the most important, and yet, I don't think it's highlighted as often as it should be. Taking a portion of men's responsibility for their own behavior and thrusting it onto women's shoulders may not always be the underlying intent, but intended or not, I believe it to be an inevitable effect of strict female modesty standards, at least in the absence of comparable dictates regarding male modesty. Much or all of the victim blaming that still takes place with regards to sexual assaults is most likely rooted in the notion that it is somehow incumbent upon women to make it easier for men to control themselves. Religion has been so successful at infecting our cultural milieu with this idea, that it often subtly influences those who consciously reject such attitudes. I suspect that even I occasionally slip back into that mentality. On the flip side, arguments against traditional modesty often seem to focus on women's freedom to dress comfortably and expressively. While comfort and self-expression almost certainly do play a part, I think it's naive and/or disingenuous to insinuate that these are the only reasons for showing plenty of skin. Sometimes, women really are just trying to attract potential romantic/sexual partners, and while no real relationship should be founded on looks alone, there's nothing wrong with physical sex appeal serving as the initial attention grabber. Here's the point that I think needs to be made more often. Even if someone deliberately dresses in a way to catch the eye of potential mates, that does not mean that they've suddenly forfeited any of their prerogative to be selective or to set limits. In fact, when has anyone ever sought any erotic companionship without having at least some personal criteria that potential takers have to meet, whether they were advertising or not? I don't care if a real hottie is belly dancing in a bikini. If she says, "Look, this is all in good fun. Please don't put your dick in me," Guess what? You don't put your dick in her. Nor should you expect her to share even a fraction of your guilt if you violate her boundaries because she was supposedly asking for it. That's the part that many conservatives seem to have trouble grasping. It is not a woman's job to be responsible for 100% of her own behavior as well as whatever percentage of a man's behavior he's too selfish, lazy, and/or immature to be responsible for himself. So to any women who still feel beholden to traditional modesty standards, I say this. We're big boys. Most of us can control ourselves just fine, and those that can't aren't worth your time anyway. So dress how you like, and if a man won't treat you with the respect that you still deserve, that's entirely his problem, not yours. And of course, what I just said applies, with the appropriate respective adjustments to the wording, to both biological sexes, all gender identities, and all sexual orientations. Thanks for watching.